Nivaleth. "Now I almost forgot," Perry exclaimed, slapping his hand to his forehead. He and Dusty were just about to say goodbye to Jasper, Zelira, and the lovely dance group. For this occasion, everyone had gathered at the beach. Before that, they had devoured a big lunch so they could continue their journey well strengthened. "Could this be perhaps your necklace, Lady Zelira?" Perry took the golden necklace with the cloud pendant out of his pocket. Zelira examined the piece of jewelry very carefully, turned it back and forth, then said, "I've never seen a pendant like this. It seems to me as if someone outside this world crafted it." Perry scratched his head. "Do you mean something like an alien?" Dusty asked, somewhat worried. "Not at all," the mermaid replied with a smile. "It just looks as if it came from another timeline." Perry told her where he had found the necklace. Unfortunately, that did not help them further. "Could it perhaps be yours, dear Jasper?" Perry asked, just to make sure. After all, a man could certainly wear such cute jewelry. Jasper grinned and replied that it wasn't his, but that he was now definitely thinking about forging such a piece for himself. Apparently, the necklace had inspired him. Finally, everyone said their farewells. Dusty gently nudged all the fish with his nose, and Perry shook their fins. "See you very soon, my friends," Jasper said, and hugged Perry. Zelira kissed Dusty's soft nostrils and whispered to the pony that it should enjoy the provisions well. Perry gave her his usual hand kiss and said he was so happy to have met her and hoped to see them all again very soon. Then they set off towards the forest. The fish accompanied them a little longer until the sea ended and the land turned into wide fields. "Say," Perry asked, laughing, "did you nibble a hole into the map? The part of the path we would need is missing." "Huh? Well, that's entirely possible. When I ate one of those starlet rolls recently, I used a bit of the map as a side dish." Both had to laugh. "That's all right. I can't read a map anyway, so it wouldn't help us much," Perry replied. Somehow they would find the treehouse village. The path they were currently walking along would lead them to one of the many forests. On their way, they passed numerous old ruins. This had once been an old fishing village. Suddenly, Perry stopped and listened. Dusty almost bumped into him. "What is it?" he asked. "Do you hear that?" Perry closed his eyes to concentrate better. Dusty perked his right ear as well. At first, he heard only the rumbling of his stomach, apparently still busy digesting the map. But then he heard it too, a shrill, loud sound. "That sounds like a cry for help," Perry said. They both tried to figure out where the sound was coming from. "I think it's coming from that ruin over there," Dusty stated. Perry didn't waste any time and ran off. Dusty quickly followed him. The calling grew louder the closer they came to the building. The old house was very dilapidated, and stones blocked the door. You could only get inside through one of the windows. "I'll go in," Perry said determinedly and swung himself through the window. Dusty waited outside for him. "But hurry," said the grey pony, and sat faithfully in the grass in front of the house. Inside the ruin, all kinds of plants were growing, insects crawled everywhere, and there were cracking sounds here and there. Perry stood in a long hallway. "What strange walls," he said to himself. The walls were painted in an unusual color, a kind of brownish orange. That was extremely rare, since most houses had wood-paneled walls. The floor was tiled with a colorful pattern of red and yellow lines forming a flower. Perry carefully walked down the long corridor with many rooms branching off from it. The calling sounded again. It came from one of the back rooms. Now Perry also heard a fluttering sound. Curious, he looked through a door. This had once been a bathroom. An old sink stood in one corner. The bathtub was overgrown with vines, as was the toilet. In one corner hung an old net, and inside it fluttered a large, colorful bird. Apparently, it had gotten itself tangled in it. Such nets had once been used as decorations. Perry approached it. First, he calmed the creature with a few gentle words and hand gestures. "It's all right, my beautiful bird. You'll be free in just a moment," Perry said, and began to carefully tear the net apart. He had to do a bit of trickery, but after a few minutes, the bird was free. "There you go," Perry said cheerfully, and helped remove the remaining bits of net from its feathers. It was quite a large bird. It had special feathers. They were very long, almost like those of a peacock, and shimmered bright pink. Blue stripes ran through them, giving them a very magical appearance. The bird let out a small cry of joy and perched on Perry's arm. Gratefully, it looked at him and playfully tried to grab one of his blonde strands of hair. Perry searched one of his pockets for something tasty he could feed it. Jasper had given him a handful of dried berries. He offered them to the bird, which devoured them hungrily and then seemed very content. "Don't worry, I will remove now these nets from every house so that you and no one else will ever get caught again," Perry whispered to the creature. The bird seemed to understand him and fluttered its wings. A few of its beautiful feathers fell off. That was apparently a gift for saving it. Perry picked up one of the feathers and gently stroked it. Afterwards, his fingertips tingled and sparkled lightly. To make sure the bird could fly on safely, he brought it outside. Dusty was already waiting for them. "Ah, so it was you he needed help from," Dusty remarked, examining the bird that still sat on Perry's arm. The bird remained there for a little while longer, then fluttered off with its large, colorful wings back into freedom. Perry told Dusty that it had gotten tangled in one of the old nets. "We must remove all of those as quickly as possible," he said resolutely, and the two immediately began to put their plan into action.